The Fire God, M134 minigun. The M134 is an American 7.62 by 51 mm NATO 6-barrel rotary machine gun with a high rate of fire, 2,000 to 6,000 rounds per minute. It features a Gatling-style rotating barrel assembly with an external power source, normally an electric motor. The mini in the name is in comparison to larger caliber designs that use a rotary barrel design, such as General Electric's earlier 20 mm M61 Vulcan, and gun for the use of rifle ammunition as opposed to autocannon shells. Minigun refers to a specific model of weapon that General Electric originally produced, but the term minigun has popularly come to refer to any externally powered rotary gun of rifle caliber. The term is sometimes used loosely to refer to guns of similar rates of fire and configuration, regardless of power source and caliber. The minigun is used by several branches of the U.S. military. Versions are designated M134 and XM196 by the United States Army, and GAU-2/A and GAU-17/A by the U.S. Air Force and U.S. Navy. History of minigun. The ancestor to the modern minigun was a hand-cranked mechanical device invented in the 1860s by Richard Jordan Gatling. He later replaced the hand-cranked mechanism of a rifle-caliber Gatling gun with an electric motor, a relatively new invention at the time. Even after Gatling slowed the mechanism, the new electrically powered Gatling gun had a theoretical rate of fire of 3,000 rounds per minute, roughly 3 times the rate of a typical modern, single-barreled machine gun. Gatling's design received U.S. patent #502-185 on July 25, 1893. Despite his improvements, the Gatling gun fell into disuse after cheaper, lighter weight, recoil and gas-operated machine guns were invented. Gatling himself went bankrupt for a period. During World War I, several German companies were working on externally powered guns for use in aircraft. One of these designs was the Fokker-Lamberger, an externally powered 12-barrel rotary gun using the 7.92 by 57 mm Mauser round. It was claimed to be capable of firing over 7,000 RPM, but suffered from frequent cartridge case ruptures due to its nutcracker rotary split breech design, which is different to that of conventional rotary gun designs. None of these German guns went into production during the war, although a competing Siemens prototype, possibly using a different action, which was tried on the Western Front, scored a victory in aerial combat. The British also experimented with this type of split breech during the 1950s, but they were also unsuccessful. The basic minigun is a 6-barrel, air-cooled, and electrically driven rotary machine gun. The electric drive rotates the weapon within its housing, with a rotating firing pin assembly and rotary chamber. The minigun's multi-barrel design helps prevent overheating, but also serves other functions. Multiple barrels allow for a greater capacity for a high firing rate, since the serial process of firing, extraction, and loading is taking place in all barrels simultaneously. Thus, as one barrel fires, 2 others are in different stages of shell extraction and another 3 are being loaded. The minigun is composed of multiple closed-bolt rifle barrels arranged in a circular housing. The barrels are rotated by an external power source, usually electric, pneumatic, or hydraulic. Other rotating barrel cannons are powered by the gas pressure or recoil energy of fired cartridges. A gas-operated variant, designated XM133, was also developed. While the weapon can feed from linked ammunition, it requires a delinking feeder to strip the links as the rounds are fed into the chambers. The original feeder unit was designated MAU-56/A, but has since been replaced by an improved MAU-201/A unit. Gun pods and other mounting systems. One of the first applications of the weapon was in aircraft armament pods. These gun pods were used by a wide variety of fixed and rotary-wing aircraft mainly during the Vietnam War, remaining in inventory for a period afterward. The standard pod, designated SUU-11/A by the Air Force and M18 by the U.S. Army, was a relatively simple unit, completely self-contained, with a 1,500-round magazine directly feeding delinked ammunition into the weapon. This means the minigun fitted to the pod does not require the standard MAU-56/a delinking feeder unit. A number of variants of this pod exist, initially on fixed-wing gunships such as the Douglas AC-47 Spooky and Fairchild AC-119. The side-firing armament was fitted by combining SUU-11/A aircraft pods, often with their aerodynamic front fairings removed, with a locally fabricated mount. These pods were essentially unmodified, required no external power, and were linked to the aircraft's fire controls. The need for those pods for other missions led to the development and fielding of a purpose-built minigun module for gunship use, designated the MXU-470/A. These units first arrived in January 1967 with features such as an improved 2,000-round drum and electric feeder allowing simplified reloading in flight. The initial units were unreliable and were withdrawn almost immediately. By the end of the year, the difficulties had been worked out and the units were again being fitted to AC-47s, AC-119s, and AC-130s, with a specific ammunition load that replaced every fifth ball round with a tracer round to enable better accuracy by the gunners, and also earning these airborne gunships the nickname Puff the Magic Dragon by the Viet Cong due to their apparent ability of spitting fire and making everything they hit disappear or die. The AC-47 had three side-mounted MXU-470/As, four were mounted on its replacement, the AC-119, and when all firing at once created a devastating image in the eyes of the enemy. The first AC-130A gunship TUS did away with the MXU-470/A mounts and instead used GAU-2/As, and not only had four 7.62mm GAU-2/A minigun mounts, but added four 20mm M61 Vulcan 6-barrel rotary cannons. This configuration was upgraded 2 years later in 1969 by removing two each of the GAU-2/As and M61S and adding two 40mm, 1.58 in, L/60 Bofors cannons in the aptly named AC-130A surprise package. This configuration lasted 2 more years until, in late 1971, the AC-130E Pave Aegis arrived, which did away with the miniguns altogether and one of the 40mm Bofors and instead went to the configuration of two 20mm M61 Vulcan, one 40mm L/60 Bofors and one 105mm, 4.13 in, M102 howitzer, a configuration that lasted until the early 2000s when the AC-130HS, the AC-130ES had an avionics upgrade and redesignated to H models, underwent a refit and the two M61 Vulcans were removed and replaced with one General Dynamics 25mm, 0.984 in, GAU-12/U equalizer 5-barrel rotary cannon, while still retaining the H suffix. The improved MXU-470/As were even being proposed for lighter aircraft such as the Cessna O-2 Skymaster used by forward air controllers but proved too heavy and cumbersome. A fit of two MXU-470/As was also tested on the Fairchild AU-23A Peacemaker, though the Royal Thai Air Force later elected to use another configuration with the M197 20mm cannon. In September 2013, Dillon Aero released the DGP-2300 gun pod for the M134DH. It contains 3,000 rounds, enough ammunition to fire the minigun for a full minute. The system is entirely self-contained, so it can be mounted on any aircraft that can handle the weight, rotational torque, and recoil force of the gun. The pod has its own battery which can be wired into the aircraft's electrical system to maintain a charge. Various iterations of the minigun have also been used in a number of armament subsystems for helicopters, with most of these subsystems being created by the United States. The first systems utilized the weapon in a forward-firing role for a variety of helicopters, some of the most prominent examples being the M21 armament subsystem for the UH-1 and the M27 for the OH-6. It also formed the primary turret-mounted armament for a number of members of the Bell AH-1 Cobra family. The weapon was also used as a pintle-mounted door gun on a wide variety of transport helicopters, a role it continues to fulfill today.